we have another very special guest, and his name is Phil Masiello, and I'm very I'm very thankful that he has given me his precious time. Thanks so much. And how are you?
Good, and you?
First of all, thanks so much for giving me your precious time, and I request you to please, firstly, you introduce yourself to an audience so they can know more about you.
I'm Phil Masiello. I'm the founder of Crunch Growth Revenue Acceleration Agency. I've also been an entrepreneur for my entire life. I founded my first business when I was 27 years old. It was a disaster, not good. It was a failure. I uh, I then moved on and uh, went to graduate school, and I got involved with another company, and we grew that company from a startup to um, hundreds of millions of dollars, and then we exited, and I founded a company called the Daily Market, which were grab and go meal stores, and we got acquired by a supermarket chain, um, and then built Raw Essential Skincare with a woman named Carol Alt. She was a model. We launched that worldwide on shopping channels, and we were one of the first brands on Amazon outside of books, CDs, music back in 2006. Um, and we grew that business, and we exited several years later. And then I founded a um, men's or not men's and women's shaving business, and we grew that one very quickly, and then we exited, and I founded Crunch Growth. It was about 14 years ago.
Great, nice to know about your journey. Thanks so much for sharing it. And let's move to the question and answer session. My first question is to you: what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
I'm not a good employee. I'm not good at working for other people. Uh, I, um, it's always been that way. I just always thought that I'd be in business for myself, just because I don't know. I just always had that desire and that drive. I never really wanted to work for other people. I just always had my own ideas and what I wanted to do and which way I wanted to go. Yeah, it's worked out.
So that's what inspired you to be an entrepreneur, right?
What's that?
Oh, that's what inspired you to become an entrepreneur because you don't want to work for other people's, right?
Don't want to work for other people. I have my own ideas, and yeah,
Really
I want
great
to
to
do.
know that. And yeah, thank you. My next question is: what was your first successful business?
The Daily Well, I was involved with a company that was successful, but it wasn't my idea. I got involved with them when I went to graduate school, and we grew that very quickly and very, very big. It was retail stores, and we started out with one retail store and grew it to 12, and then we made several other acquisitions. But my first success outside of somebody else's idea was the Daily Market, where that was my idea, my concept, and that was successful. We wound up exiting to a major supermarket chain.
Great to know. Thank you for sharing it. And my next question is: how do you identify profitable business opportunities?
How do I what? I'm sorry.
I said, how do you identify profitable business opportunities?
Well, usually, um, it's got to do with the market that you're going after and whether or not you have a product or a concept that can be different. If you're just if you're just a seller mentality where you're just going to try and sell product, generally you have unless you have some sort of a supply chain advantage, it's going to be very difficult to be profitable. An example of that are all the people that just jump on Amazon and try and sell product that already exists. Maybe they go out and they white label it or something like that, but that doesn't last for very long. When you start looking at the statistics, there's really only, there, I think 80% of the sellers on Amazon do around $100,000 a year. And it's really difficult to be profitable in that environment because you don't have anything that's really unique and different. If you're just white labeling something, then everybody else has it, right? If you're if you're just out there as a seller and you're buying national brands and trying to resell them and you don't have a supply chain advantage, it's going to be very difficult for you to be profitable. So the best way to be profitable is to come up with an idea, something that you're passionate about, some product that you see that you can make better or different, and then you can build a brand around that, and that's when you become profitable. um, so you know
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing it. And my next question is to you: how do you handle failure in business?
how do you handle failure? Well, I mean, failure is a part of success, so you have to learn from it. Like I said, my first business was a complete disaster. It was a failure of leadership and a failure of process management. But I walked away from it, and I still think about the problems that I created by doing it the way I did it today, and I still learn from it. But failure is just inevitable. And I told you about these businesses that I started, but along the way there were six others that were disasters. So I'm not, um, I'm not always successful, but I do things and I learn from it. The problem that I have sometimes is I fall in love with an idea and I talk myself into the fact that it's going to be a good business when it's not going to be a good business. So you have to figure out, it's always good to have other people around you that can bring you down to reality. I also got involved in businesses that I shouldn't have been involved in, that I didn't have any core competency in. So, yeah, you have to stick to your knitting in this world of what you know and what you understand. Um, but failure, if you're most entrepreneurs are not afraid of failure. It's just something that happens. I mean, um, it's part of who you it's part of the job, I guess.
And thank you so much for clarifying it. Thank you. And the next question is to you: what is the biggest challenge you ever face as an entrepreneur?
The biggest challenge, well, most of the challenges that you face as an entrepreneur is the ability to scale a business. It's one thing to have the idea and one thing to get the idea off the ground and get it started, but it's another challenge to actually scale it. And and that's a hard lesson to learn, but it's an important one. And sometimes it has to do with funding, and you have to go out and raise capital if you don't have it. And sometimes it has to do with systems and processes, and sometimes it has to do with having the right team. So I would say that the biggest challenge you ever face, anybody ever is going to face, is scaling a business.
Thank you so much, and great to know that. And my next question is to you: how do you build customer trust online?
How do you build customer what online?
How do you build customer trust online?
Build customer first online?
Trust.
Uh, how do you build customer? I'm sorry, I'm missing that
Yeah,
second word.
I said that. How do you build customer trust online?
Oh, customer trust. So, I mean, today it's even easier because, today we have social media and we have the ability to speak in video to customers. And we learned early on when we launched Raw Essentials, we launched on the shopping channels and we learned how to communicate using video, because when you look at how shopping channels sell, it's all communication through video. And that holds true today. And so customers today, they want to know who they're buying product from. They don't want to just buy from a nameless, senseless corporation. So they're out there looking for you to explain to them who you are and why they should buy your product. That's the biggest thing. It's why should a customer buy your product? And so you've got this ability today to use video to show them your product and who you are and explain to them the values of your company and what you're trying to build. So that's sort of how you do it. And then when they get that product that you sold them, I don't care whether it's a SaaS product, whether it's a physical product, whether it's a service, doesn't matter. It has to live up to what you told them, because if it doesn't, then we also have great feedback tools, and people are going to tell the world pretty quickly that your product didn't live up. So you've got to really have you've got to set the expectation, and you've got to have the right product, and then you've got to be able to live up to that product.
Great to know that, and thank you. My next question to you, that how to build your own brand in today's world.
How to build your own brand?
Yeah.
Like I said before, you've got to have an idea. And again, I don't care whether it's a physical product, a SaaS product, a service, doesn't matter. You're building a brand, B2B, it doesn't matter. You're building a brand. And you've got to have, but you have to be successful with it. You have to have something that's different and unique. If you're just doing the same old, and you say, well, my product's better, better is subjective. Better people aren't going to recognize until they actually get it in their hands. Better is subjective. You have got to have something that's different and unique, and the story has to resonate with people. Too many times, entrepreneurs, what I've seen is they start to build something in a vacuum where they think it's a great idea, but they haven't gone out and tested it. They haven't gone out and shown it to anybody. So you've got to build your minimum viable product, get it out there to the customer, find people who are going to buy your product, your service, doesn't matter, and get their feedback, and make sure that you have something that's different and you know who your market is. And then once you do, then you start expanding it, build a better website, refine the graphics, refine your brand messaging, all those pieces. But to start with, you really have to have an idea that's unique and different.
How to get unique and different idea.
How do you find one?
Yeah.
Well, that's the challenge, isn't it? You've got to generally, where people start is always with their own personal passions. They get passionate about something, and they think, huh. I think a great story is Poppy, the beverage company, that all the beverages today, carbonated beverages, let's say, are all based on sugary water. And so she essentially created a beverage company, a carbonated beverage company that had natural ingredients, natural flavorings, and she exploded, right? And it was because she didn't want to drink sugary water. And so she was passionate about that. You've seen other ones. Um, Glossier, I think, is a great example of someone who started out. She started out talking about skincare and what was wrong with some of the skincare items today, and then she was very passionate about skincare. And then she came out with she had written a blog for several years, built a customer base of about 1 million people, and then she launched her first 3 products, and she had a built-in customer base. So I think generally it comes from passion.
You're absolutely right on that. Like the new idea, the different, the unique idea always come from passion. Thanks so much for sharing it. And my next question is to you: how has branding changed in the digital age?
Um, well, I think it's become more closer to the customer, because you have, like I said, you've got tools today that didn't exist 15 years ago, 20 years ago. We've got the use of video on social media to be able to tell the story and get the message out there faster, and to be able to move faster and communicate with hundreds of people, or millions of people, actually, very quickly. So I think the tools we have today are much better than what we've had in the past. you have connected TV today where you can really target audiences and you can see what the effects of those ads are and whether or not they came to your website, whether or not they bought. In the old days, we just had television. You put an ad up and it was all about impressions, but you couldn't track whether people took action or where they went. Today we have social media video. People can, take their iPhone and make a video and start communicating. So it becomes much easier, much less costly. But again, you have to have something different. You have to have a message that's different and resonates with people. So you can't just go out there and do the same old, same old. You've got to be, unique and different and do something to break through the clutter. The traditional ad formats, they just don't work anymore. Just running an ad saying, buy my product, and I'm a faceless, nameless brand. People don't trust that anymore. So you've got to really think about and understand who your audience is and how you're going to communicate with them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And nowadays we have AI too. That's like makes our work very easy. Thank you so much for sharing your opinion on that. And my next question is to you. That is, what's the first step to becoming a successful Amazon seller?
What's the first step to becoming a successful Amazon seller?
Yeah,
Well, I think there's two things. One, again, you have to have something that's different, because if you're just a seller and you're just selling what other people are selling, maybe you white label it. It doesn't matter. It's just still the same stuff. And the second thing is you have to really understand the economics of what you're doing, because when you're in today in Amazon, FBA, between the fees, advertising costs, and shipping costs in and out of bulk product to FBA. I mean, it's costly. You've really got to have a gross margin going in. Just product cost, uh, uh, a product cost has to be 10 to 20% of your sell price, or it's going to be really difficult to make money. But too many people. I speak to sellers all the time, and too many of them just don't understand the economics of their business. They think they do, and then a year later they realize they're losing money in it, and they didn't realize it. I mean, uh, you've got to really understand the economics of what you're doing, and you've really got to understand the costs involved with selling on Amazon, and how are you going to get customers over to Amazon.
thank you so much for sharing your opinion on that, and that's really teaches a lot of things. Thank you. The next question is to you: how much should someone invest to start on Amazon?
How much should they invest to start? Hey, it
Yeah.
depends on the product line. It depends on the category. Some categories, and it depends on what you're doing. Um, it again, too too many people get sucked into these stories that these guys sell. Oh, we'll get you up and running on Amazon. You know, in 10 days, you can start out with a minimum of $10,000, and you buy the product from us, and we'll set you up with your Amazon account, and we'll do the whole thing. And the only people making money in that scenario are the people selling you the product and setting up the thing, because setting up your account. Because if they were do if they were doing it, right, there's a reason they're not doing it, right? If there was so much money in it, they'd be doing it, but instead they're selling it to you so that you lose the money. It's just it's not a good way of going about it. So again, it depends on the category you're in. If you're in the skincare category and you've developed a unique skincare, something that really solves a problem, and it's yours and your brand and nobody else has it, yeah, it's going to cost you probably whatever the minimum run is with your manufacturer, but you can expect to invest significant money, 50, 60, $70,000. But if you're just going out and white labeling another product and putting a different brand on it, you can get started for anywhere for a couple of $1,000s. But the question isn't how much does it take to get started. The question is, can you build a business that way that's profitable? Like I said, go out and look at the statistics on how many people are doing how many sellers are doing less than $1 million a year on Amazon? It's mind-boggling. There's very few sellers doing more than $1 million a year on Amazon, and profitably. And so, there's a lot of people with side gigs, and everybody's got that, get rich quick scheme on Meta. You see the ads all the time from all these unethical companies. We'll teach you how to sell on Amazon. We'll get you up and running. You can white label our products. We'll set you up with your account. Yeah, okay, great. There's a reason they're doing that. And the reason is they couldn't make money doing it themselves. Because if I'm a seller on Amazon and I'm successful, I'm not going to tell you how I'm doing it. I mean, think about it logically. Why would I do that? If I'm in the skincare business on Amazon and I'm doing really, really well selling on Amazon, then why would I teach you how to sell skincare on Amazon? Or why would I want you to white label my product? I wouldn't. The reason that I'm doing it is because I couldn't make money at it. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to teach you how to do it. And you're going to pay me $10,000. And then I'm going to walk away because I have no responsibility after that in whether or not you're successful. And there's too many, I've seen too many people get burned doing that. We've had clients that have come to us after joining these courses and paying $10,000 to $15,000 for a course on how to sell on Amazon, and it's garbage. I wrote a book on selling on Amazon back in 2011, and it was obsolete a year later. Amazon changes so much. So, you're going and paying for these courses on how to sell on Amazon, and the ultimate goal is they're going to sell you their product and white label it, and then they make money because you're buying it from them. But, you got to be careful. You want to have, it's just like any business. Amazon is no different than your own website. You have to have a unique product and a unique brand, and you've got to understand the economics, and then you've got to figure out how to get the customers to the brand. That's how you do it on Amazon successfully, long term, and grow.
That's a very great idea. Thanks so much for sharing it. And every business, everything needs a unique thing that is gonna be on trending. So if you're gonna like, thank you so much for sharing it. That and that's what I learned, that if you're gonna make a business or going on Amazon, so you have the unique product to sell it. Thanks so much. And my next question is to you: how do you stay ahead of trends in business?
Oh, you have to pay attention to your customer. Just like Wayne Gretzky said, the famous hockey player, you always want to skate to where the puck's going to be. So you have to look at what's happening. You should never stop paying attention to your customer, ever. Too many brands get complacent. Companies, you see it all the time. You read the newspaper every day, you read the news, you read about companies going out of business, like major brands, Applebee's, and you hear Pizza Hut closing down stores, Red Lobster closing down stores, or brands that have closed down, Body Shop that have, and you say, well, it's the economy. It's not the economy. They lost sight of who the customer is. When was the last time you were at an Applebee's? When was the last time that they had anything good? I mean, they've been doing the same thing for 50 years. It just doesn't work anymore. So, you have to constantly evolve. You have to constantly stay in touch with your customer, figure out what they want, and be able to go out and change and add new products and be on top of your game. Companies get so focused on scaling and opening up, getting more customers and running more ads and trying to sell more product, that they totally forget to pay attention to the customer. Look, Apple has done a phenomenal job of staying in touch with the customer and coming up with new products and new variations of the products every year that people want to buy. Is that going to last forever? Not if they get stale, but and then you look at other companies like, Microsoft is great at building, technology, but they were terrible at rolling out products. They rolled out the Zune. It was horrible, right? You look at BlackBerry. BlackBerry is a classic example of not paying attention to the customer. They were so stuck in their keyboard, their physical keyboard on the phone, that they just totally forgot that the customer was moving and changing, and the industry was changing. And then they rolled out a tablet and didn't have email on it, and their thesis was, Well, customers have email on their phone and they have email on their computer. They don't need email on their tablet, which was a big misstep. And those things cost them their business. Where's BlackBerry today? They're gone. So you always have to stay in touch with what your customer is and what your customer's doing and what your customers want in the future.
Thank you so much for sharing this strategy with me. Thank you. And my next question is to you: when you were the teenager, what was your future goals?
When I was a teenager, what was my future goal? My future goal was to play professional baseball. That didn't work out.
So then you moved to the business, right? In what age you moved to the business?
Well, I grew up in the restaurant business. My family owned restaurants, and I always thought that I wanted to own a restaurant. And then when I went to college, I realized I didn't want to be in the restaurant business because that's a very difficult life. You work really long hours, and it's just very, very difficult business. And the restaurant business is always difficult to continue to grow because you're constrained by time and space. You only have so many seats in a restaurant, and people only eat at certain hours. So I just didn't want to. I didn't want to take that path, and um, but I did stay in the food side of it because I built a food. My first business was building a food store, like a specialty food store, and which was great. The store itself was great. It was me who messed it up with managing of it and operating of it. But um, I always knew, I think, when I was from the time I was young, that I always wanted to be in business for myself.
Thank you so much for sharing your on journey with us. Can you please share an advice with me and my audience?
Sure. I'm sorry. What was the last question?
I said, can you please share an advice with me and my audience?
My advice to every entrepreneur is to, you know, build your minimum viable product, get it out as fast as you can. Don't try and make the perfect product. Don't try and make the perfect website. Don't try and make the perfect app. Don't try and make the perfect anything. Get your minimum viable product out there and find the customer who's going to buy that product. And then once you find that customer is going to buy their product, get their feedback on how they like the product and make changes and iterations from there. But don't do it just in a vacuum where you think you know how to do it, because I've seen too many people waste too much time and money. So get it out there. And again, I don't care if it's a service, I don't care if it's a SaaS product, I don't care if it's a physical product. All three of them, you can come out with your minimum viable product, build a minimum website that you need to get going with, build your brand messaging, and then get out there as fast as you can and find somebody who's going to buy your product, get their feedback once they buy it, and continue to iterate and improve.
Thanks so much for sharing this amazing advice with me and my audience. And thanks so much for giving me precious 28 minutes. And this means a lot to me that you share a lot of things about business and Amazon to me. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. And yeah, we are going to end this session now. Thanks so much, viewers, watching me, listening to my amazing guest, Philip Masiello. And I hope you understand business and about Amazon that he told about today about it. And thanks so much. And the